Let's talk about feeling lonely in your marriage. I think that this is something that has been swept under the rug for a very long time, and most women don't feel comfortable talking about it. I got divorced 3 years ago. Before that, I did feel extremely lonely in my marriage, and I didn't talk to anyone about it. I felt ashamed and like it was my fault and that I had failed, and it was all internally something I was dealing with. I felt like I was supposed to support my partner and never say anything bad about him. So if I talked to my friends about how I was feeling, it was not being a supportive wife. It's all these things that aren't true. As women, we deserve to be supported and loved and taken care of, no matter what stage you're in, no matter how old your kids are. So just know that you deserve that. You deserve to be treated well and loved and supported, and that being lonely in your marriage is not okay. Work on it if you want to work on it. Leave if you want to leave. But know that you need to talk to people and that you will get through this one way or another.
I always talk about the demonization of, women who choose to stay at home, the demonization of housewives, the demonization of women who make a different choice than what is considered the acceptable choice of the modern feminist movement. And not every woman is going to want to be that CEO or enter the workforce. Some of them want to devote themselves to being a wife and being a mom. Why do we have to disparage them because they're making a different choice than what a lot of women make in this day and age? Why? Why can't we just fight that reflex? Because we all have it, right? I mean, Rollo Tomassi says we're all kind of raised in the feminist age, and hence we kind of have a little bit of that lens. I believe that he's right on that in many respects, because I even have to check myself sometimes, because it's almost like you're programmed to react a certain way, and it just starts coming out of your mouth, and you're like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. You really have to kind of deprogram all of that stuff and look at stuff for what it actually is.
Do you think like what you see in the movies where if you were to strike a guy in the nuts, he would just fall over and he can no longer control his motor?
Should we test it out?
I'm pretty sure,
I'm just saying
it hurts,
that's a good
but
start. I'm not going to tell people how to attack men. I'm just saying if you take those classes, they teach you
how about this?
steps.
Here, let me give women better advice. Go get a firearm. That'll help you out much more in a self-defense situation against a man than taking years of BJJ.
To all the young gentlemen just noticing the fairer sex, here's a tip. Do not date an ambitious girl. Okay? If that you meet her in college and she's talking about how she wants to do this and she wants to do that and accomplish this and accomplish that and she wants to be the big dog CEO of some company, leave her. Immediately. Run. You will, trust me, you will save yourself a massive amount of headaches. Ambitious boss babe bitches are nothing but a fucking headache for a man. And honestly, considering they pretty much act like men, might as well just date a dude.
Now, here's a quick one about a gal who she, as well as her female coworkers, are having a meltdown because a guy at work isn't paying attention to them. And as I say, women, they need attention and validation the same way plants need sunlight and water. And how if a guy rejects them, either rejects their advances or doesn't pay attention to them, they lose their freaking minds. Title: A colleague at work, a 27-year-old male of 1 year, refuses to socialize with me, a 24-year-old female, or any of the women in our office. Oh, the travesty. There are plenty of other horrible things going on in the world, but nothing is as horrible as a guy, God forbid, not paying attention to you and your friends. She says here, "Hi all. I'm posting this on alternative site because I know a few of my friends are following me on here, and I don't want this spilling out until I have some clear thoughts on what I want to do." Oh, you're trying to say you don't want any drama because something tells me you like drama. So early last year, our firm hired Dan, a 27-year-old male. In the first few weeks, he was really quiet and didn't talk much, and that's just how we thought he was. Every conversation with him was short and to the point and never deviated from work, aside from pleasantries, have a nice weekend, etc. About 2 months ago, he started becoming a bit more friendly with the guys in our office, and they would hang out every so often after work and have normal conversations. Isn't it interesting that she and her friends are really paying close attention to what this guy's doing? However, whenever any of the girls in the office tried to do so, he would quickly change the conversation back to just work or not reply. Even now, after a year of Dan working with us, he straight up refuses to socialize with the girls in the office, and he's making them feel uncomfortable. Oh, now he's the bad guy. He's making us feel uncomfortable. Maybe he's sticking to business. Maybe he's worked at a place where the girls act like it's high school and wants nothing to do with that. Or maybe he's become very RP'd, understands about MG Tau, things like that, knows the Mike Pence rule, and he's doing that for a good reason. But he's making you uncomfortable. He avoids any discussion of himself outside of work-related events and future plans, and doesn't ask any of the girls either. Aware as he is, what can I only assume, pretty good friends with the guys in the office. Even on work meals out to celebrate events, he's only doing the bare minimum when it comes to conversation with the girls, where again with the guys, he talks to them like there is no problem whatsoever. I don't know if I'm overreacting. You sure about that? But one of the girls is considering going to HR about this because she is saying it's creating a hostile work environment. Dan treats us like he treats clients we work with, cordial and strictly about business, and it's wearing thin now. Any advice is appreciated. Okay, she asked for advice, so I'll give some advice. You and your friends need to grow the F up. You're 24 years old, so I'm assuming all the female coworkers are probably in the 20s. We all know what generation they're in, between the Z-tards and the millennials, and she's certainly behaving like a bunch of Z-tards and millennials. Your work is a place of business, to earn a paycheck to pay for your living expenses or to build a career, not high school. But she's acting like it's high school. If this guy doesn't want to talk to you, that's his business. He probably has experience where BS goes on, gossiping and drama and turmoil, which you're creating, drama, and wants nothing to do with it. And given how you're acting here and saying that it's a unpleasant work environment or some BS like that and thinking about going to HR, gee, you wonder why he doesn't want to talk to you. Problem is this: you can't handle the fact that a guy doesn't want to pay attention to you, that a guy isn't flirting with you, asking you out and all that, and it's driving you freaking crazy. Now guys,
we have all witnessed the layoffs of thousands of employees over the past couple of years at companies like Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, and Twitter. The consequences of COVID on organizations became evident when they recognized they had hired excessively during the pandemic. You might not be aware of this, but the majority of businesses have stopped recruiting women. It might be surprising to learn that more firms are refusing to hire women to fill their positions, and no corporation will admit this to you. Why? Because women bring a lot of drama to the table, and endless cases of ruining employee culture by falsely accusing male colleagues who no longer want to work with women.
Earlier this year, I had the displeasure of dealing with a female coworker harassing a male coworker. A male subordinate comes to me to report the female subordinate. She decided that she wanted his opinion on fellatio techniques. She asked him because he's openly gay. I went with him to HR to report. HR calls everyone involved to get their side. At this point, the female employee realizes the male employee snitched and begins bad-mouthing him. HR hands down punishment based on zero tolerance policy. 3 days unpaid suspension for the male victim, but only 1 day unpaid suspension to the female employee because she's pregnant and we can't cause too many problems. The male employee came back from suspension with legal representation. The female employee came back and all the male employees avoided her and any situation where they would need to be alone with a female employee.
But tonight, one retired CEO is speaking out about why he thinks this might end up having the wrong effect on women in the workforce.
Steve, Tricia, well, this new wave of women standing up against sexual misconduct has led to all sorts of changes. But tonight, one CEO believes it may be preventing women from getting the jobs they want.
From the entertainment industry to the gaming world, women everywhere are standing up against sexual misconduct in the workplace.
It's a new day. It is the era of the woman now.
The latest case has brought this movement right to the Las Vegas Strip. Casino mogul Steve Wynn stepping down as CEO yesterday after allegations he sexually assaulted employees. But is time really up?
I have a big concern. And it's what's going to happen in hiring going forward.
Mark Yoseloff is the director of UNLV's School of Gaming and Innovation and hired hundreds of men and women as former CEO of Shufflemaster. He says this movement will make it tougher for women to get hired, especially when they're up against a qualified man.
they might elect to hire the man because they are concerned that down the road, whether they do anything wrong or not, there might be a she said, he said.
Yoslov says current CEOs he knows have already opted not to sit in meetings alone with women in fear they would do something to spark a complaint.
It's a craziness that no executive wants to have to face.
Modern woman and like a lot of the feminist indoctrination, brainwashing, and American women with these like massive insecurity things. She's just saying like, well, I don't want men to be the leader. That's basically what she's saying. She's like, I don't want men to be the leader. I don't like women can be leader too. Not even women can be leaders too, but she's saying like women can be better leaders in certain situations.
Went out of his way to make the workforce within that company 50-50 as much as he could in terms of men and women being represented. So we're talking about engineers, we're talking about tradespeople, we're talking about in workshops, we're talking at the managerial level.
If you hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women. So you can't hire 50% women engineers without producing a decrement in the quality of the engineers, because the selection pool is too small. You can't do that on a large scale. You might be able to do that in one company. But look, you think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, and you insist upon hiring 50-50, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying don't even try?
No, I'm saying something much more specific than that.
When a woman says that you're controlling, toxic, insecure for not wanting your girl to go party 4 or 5 nights a week and get drunk and put herself in these sorts of situations, that's basically essentially just shaming language. You're trying to shame men out of using our masculine instincts to keep her out of positions that put the relationship at risk. There's absolutely no reason that a man should allow his girlfriend to put the relationship at risk. And I do think it's the case that if you're going out and partying and getting drunk and being around these kinds of people in these kinds of environments, you are putting your relationship at risk.
As a young millennial myself, I would totally agree with what you just said, the lies that were kind of sold, and I don't think that they were maliciously instilled in you know, the daughters. Right. They thought it was right, and many friends, my personal friends and family members have also started to wake up to, wait, maybe being a 45-year-old CEO, I'm still alone and I don't have a family, and it didn't fulfill me. So
well, and you know what is, so many of my friends too did the waiting and then finally decided in their mid to late 30s, okay, now I think I am ready to have a family. And then you experience a lot of times fertility issues with that, with the waiting, and you put career first and everything. And that's just a huge struggle, I think, too. And so a lot of people are waking up to the fact like, oh, I wish that I would have tried to do this sooner. And I think that's something too that's been an eye-opener for people. Plus the fact that, and I talk about this a lot on my shows, which is very controversial even with conservatives, but the fact that almost all of us were prescribed, if you're a millennial, we were all prescribed birth control, whether we were having sex or not in high school at 15 years old for no reason, just to regulate periods or acne or whatever, and then not knowing otherwise the side effects, and then being on that through our 30s, and then realizing, oh my goodness, this has impacted my fertility.
So yeah, I broke up with a guy, I married another guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So does that make me a playgirl? I am a playgirl. How?
No, you're not called a playgirl.
One second.
Let me explain.
1 second, I haven't finished my question. I haven't finished my question.
Fine.
Okay? Point number, firstly, nobody has the right to label any girl or a boy. No, it is my choice to do whatever I want to do. Okay? There is no gender here. There is no gender here. Just because, you know, you have something extra, I have something extra in my body. It's as simple as that. But one more thing, I have something more. I can give birth, you can't. And you talk about
I can give the software to you to give birth.
I was about to say that. 1 second.
I can give the formula of a human being.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. Oh, I don't need your sperms. You know what? Even dog sperms can give birth to a human child. Do you know that?
Okay. Go marry a dog.
When you cheat on somebody and they don't even react, or you know you can get away with it, it's easier to do it. I was in a relationship where I know the person knew I was cheating on them and they didn't do anything about it, which did two things. One, it made it easier to do. And two, it made me wonder, then why are you even with me? Right. Are you with me for the right reasons? You let me do what I'm doing, so why are you even with me?
Why I do not have any women employees. Now, before you rip me apart in the comments, it's not because I don't want to hire women, it's because they don't apply. Me being in this business for almost 10 years, not a single woman has applied for an on-field position. Which I absolutely understand, it's a dangerous job and it comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of training. Which is kind of strange to me because all of my guys, they're never alone. They're always in groups of 2, 3, or even 4 guys when they're refilling units all day. And they're watching each other's back every second of every shift, every day to make sure that they're okay, so there should be no reason why a woman would have any problem doing the same job. Really, the only thing I would worry about if I had a female employee was getting my guys to actually watch their mouth and watch their behavior. Yes, we're all adult men, but I mean, if you put men in one room together, then we're all just little kids at the end of the day. But yeah, I have it all planned out in case we get a woman technician one day. But yeah, right now I have over 200 applications for field technicians and not a single one is a woman.
I want attention and will do anything to get it, just like a child.
Let's correct that statement, okay? Some people will do anything for attention and do anything to get it.
They will be good to get attention and they will be bad to get attention.
It's almost like that's part of human behavior.
Stop answering to men when they make childish or pandering or accusatory statements.
Does one mean like this one?
Responding to someone who has interrupted a conversation that they aren't even invited to is like saying it's okay that they're there.
Well, that's nice, but I'm definitely interrupting this conversation.
Ignore, delete, block, whatever you have to do to not trigger a cortisol or endocrine or any kind of response in your body. It's about you.
Now there's a radical change in priorities. Everything is about the individual and their feelings.
The less that you acknowledge that it's happening, the more that it becomes background noise and the more that it literally just doesn't even exist anymore.
But yet, here's a post about it.
For women to recenter and heal and decenter men and not consider them to be a part of blah, 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 to not consider them. They aren't invited to this piece of ourselves that is working on ourselves, that is working on us being the center.
Yet, ironically, one is still centering men in this conversation.
And no amount of good behavior or bad behavior or tantrum throwing or gesturing is going to get precedence over me and my well-being. Once I'm centered in that space, I'm willing and able to listen to anybody.
Just a thought here, but perhaps the best way to get others to listen to what one actually has to say would not be to start out generalizing a group of people just for the sake of grabbing their attention, and then perhaps one's words might actually carry more weight.
Let that sink in. We're living in a time, and I know this because I used to be a teacher for many years, and I couldn't believe the sexual promiscuity amongst 14, 13, 12-year-old girls, because here's what they had. They had access to Snapchat. They could send nudes of themselves to older boys or whatever it is from the age of 11, 12, nudes or whatever it is. Well, it's technically child pornography. They would start so young. And they're living in an era where there's no negativity attached to sleeping around. It's seen as liberating. So by the time a girl is 23 years old, I promise you she's slept with more men than a 53-year-old woman. Because a 53-year-old woman grew up in a time where she was shamed for sleeping around. There was no sexual liberation. There was a sanctity attached to sexuality. A 22-year-old grew up in a time where Snapchat, twerking, wearing promiscuous clothes, going out, being on social media was all normalized. So if you think that, I'm going to be with a 21-year-old, she's going to have low body count. Guys, what world do you live in? What world do you live in?
Thank you very much.
So what about the women that didn't choose to raise a kid on their own?
Of the 50+% divorce rate, women are filing 70-80% of all divorces. Women are choosing to wreck their own homes every day. Men are not choosing to wreck their own homes and make women single parents. That's a choice that women are making.
Why? Because their husbands are trash, treating them badly.
Okay, now here we go with the ad hominem stuff. This is the same stuff that's been piped into the culture forever. That when a woman chooses to break her home, it's always the man's fault.
If a woman ever gets offended by you asking what she brings to the table and she asks you what you bring to the table, you tell her. You say, I bring you to the table, right? I'm opening you up to my life so I can see how I can provide for you. Given that I'm gonna get that shit in return, you bunch of greedy biznatches. Thank you.
The problem is that women want a guy to pay for dates, be tall, be charming, be charismatic, and bring all these things to the table, but they want to be able to say, well, I'm still strong and independent, I can do my thing. Does that make sense?
Men always just want virgins that hadn't had sex with anyone and are really good girls. Like, you want younger women as well, so it's like that whole predator vibe. So
what if I said women are stupid, can't make money, short, and weak because they want a guy that makes more money than them, taller than them, more confident, ambitious, etc.? That would be ludicrous, wouldn't it? We don't shame female preferences. Okay? When a woman says, I want a man that's tall, makes money, etc., you go, girl, you deserve it. That's your preferences. If I say, I want a girl that's not a hoe, that has some sexual temperance, isn't going to embarrass me when I walk in a room, beautiful, young, etc. That's considered, oh, that's toxic and masculine. We demonize male preferences, but we don't demonize female preferences.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm just charging my car. Yeah, but they don't have a charger, you see.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's my charger, though.
Yes, alright, don't get big-headed about it. My friend Lucy, come to see her.
Okay.
And she hasn't got a charger, because she hasn't got an electric car. There's no
But
one
why
on
is that
site.
my problem, though?
What?
But why is that my problem?
Well, no, it's not a problem, it's an advantage for me, isn't it? Because
Yeah, it's an advantage for you, but it's not an advantage for me. You're using my charger. No, but you're using my... No, but you're using my electrical facility.
yes, I am, and I'm very grateful. It's nice that you got it there. I can, I know in the future.
If you think men are such vile creatures that are just put on this earth to watch women suffer and laugh at it, why don't you just go date a whole ass woman? Like, fuck going to therapy and healing. Just go date a woman. Considering if you look at the rates of domestic violence, lesbians take up the majority of it. It's not even the heteros or the gays beating the shit out of each other. It's the girls. Go date a woman. Come back. Thank you.
And as of today, then you're going to part ways.
I think I'm about to get fired. I've been having some issues with this company for quite a while. I couldn't come into the office today because I had a really bad migraine, and I told her, I can log on later if I'm feeling up to it. I just am not feeling good. And now all of a sudden she's scheduled a discussion in 10 minutes on Google Meet, and I believe I am getting fired.
Hi guys, I'm so sad right now because I just came to a realization. These past few days have been so hard for me, because you know how men say that women have toxic feminism, and you'll get to a certain age and no one will want to marry you and no one will love you. I feel like I've gotten to that point, guys. I was so hung on to this feminism thing, and I missed out on marriage and on children. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm so bitter. I'm so jealous of people who have marriages because they're so happy and their husbands don't even cheat on them. And men are just the best. Right now is when I'm realizing I can't do without them. And right now I'm I don't care if you are rich or poor, tall, dark, handsome, ugly. I don't care, by the way. As long as you're a man and you're breathing, that's the only qualification I need, because I'm just so desperate for a husband. There's a lot of pressure around me, so if you can DM me and propose, I swear I'll behave and I'll marry you immediately. I'll wash your clothes, I'll cook for you, I'll have your children.
a lot of times she doesn't know that she's been pretty much disqualified from being a serious girlfriend from the beginning because she has tendencies that aren't attractive to me. But the problem is that so many women think acting like a guy, chasing a career, being masculine, being dominant, being competitive, let me challenge you, all this shit is attractive. It's not. And I tell girls all the time on the podcast, all right, so you think it's attractive for you to be a boss, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it is. Okay, well, you know what? How about this? How about on Saturday nights, I wear heels and I wear a dress. Would you go out with me? Ew, no. Fantastic. That's exactly how men feel when you talk about you being a boss babe and competitive. Oh my God, no, it's not. It is the same because a masculine woman is just like a feminine man. But here's the craziness. Women expect you, right, to be masculine, right? And they can pick and choose when they want to be feminine. And you're supposed to accept them no matter what. But if I act feminine, right, maybe on a Saturday, they would never accept me. So what men want is considered discrimination. What women want is considered standards.
The only way as a man that you can typically win in the dating game or even typically outsmart women at their own game or some of their own seduction strategies is by removing the connection that they all deep down desire from a masculine man. Let me explain. All of the great traits that make you you, okay? This could be your masculinity, the leadership that you provide, the care, the comfort, the element of protection, all of the things that she is seeking from a man. Instead of giving that right away, if you withhold those things and even make that other person earn them from you, what's going to happen is that she now values it and she respects it more. By you withholding that need that she deep down has for comfort and for connection, what's going to happen is you will naturally position yourself as a man who is pre-selected by other women, and she's going to sense that you have more options, and she's potentially going to even think that you are now investing that care and comfort into somebody else that isn't her, which is going to make her work for your approval even more.
When they ask, what do you bring to the table? Your soul. My soul is the table, the chairs, the rug underneath the table. My soul are the dinner plates. My soul is the dinner. My soul is the dessert. My soul is the breakfast, the lunch, the brunch. My soul is the knives, the forks, the spoons. My soul is everything. The table, the house, all that. My soul. And that's what's not going to be easily replaceable.
Does anybody want to get married? Because I need to get on this. Like, I need to have kids. I need to get married before my grandparents pass away. And I also need to have kids before my dog passes away because he's a really good kid dog. And I'm running out of time. You guys, it is hard out here. So applications are open. If you want to. It'll be hard, but I'm fun. Sir, you better have more than fun. What else are you bringing to the table? Can you cook, clean, take directions well? What makes you think that I need to take direction from a man? First of all. Second of all, are these directions to a place I want to go? Like Home Goods. Yes, I love Home Goods. Gucci, give me the directions to Gucci. I will take those very well. Very well. Can I cook and can I clean? Yeah, also very well. Can you build a home? Can you build a home? Can you woodwork? Can you hunt? Can you hunt? Can you be a hunter? Let's fucking burn the patriarchy to the ground because this is absolutely absurd, sir. John Wees.
So I am a young millennial, and for my generation, we were really sold this boss babe life. Put your career first, don't get married, don't have a kids, don't even think about that until your mid to late 30s, don't worry about it, your career is what is going to fulfill you. And we really bought into that lie. And so many millennials, and some older than me, they did do that, and then everyone realized, oh wait, now I have the big promotion, I am making a lot of money, women are, by the way, the left doesn't want to talk about this, but women are out earning men, I mean, you know, to and from, that this wage gap thing is such BS, but they have all of that, but they still feel like they're missing something. And the truth is that we were made for more. We were made to pour into a family and a husband and have children, and that is what is going to fulfill you at the end of the day. Like your career, you know, at the very end of your life, how much money you made and everything isn't going to matter, but who's going to be at your bedside on your deathbed. And so I think a lot of millennials started to have that wake-up call, and now Gen Z is starting to have that wake-up call. And so young conservatives really are embracing this, it's called trad wife lifestyle. So traditional wife, you know, being a stay-at-home mom and putting a focus on that. And so I think that's amazing. And you know, that's something I think about too. I have a really serious relationship right now. We're not engaged yet, but it's something that we're talking about. And you know, he knows that that's super important. Obviously, I feel like I'm in a place that God wants me to be with hosting this show, but I also really want to be a mother. And at the end of the day, if I had to choose to lose all of this, and if that was the only way to be a mother, I would choose that. And we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe there's a way for me to balance both a little bit, but I think a lot of girls are waking up to the fact that family really is everything and putting more of a priority back on that. And so I cannot wait to see how Gen Z really takes that back.
Number one, I got asked, what is the accommodation I was asking for? So I have a lot of mental health problems that don't affect my everyday life, but they can sometimes. I wake up with panic attacks sometimes. To be honest, they were triggered a lot by this job. And all I was asking for was to work from home on certain days that I would have what they like to call a flare-up. It's not eczema, it's a disability. And that would not happen very often, but the more that this job started to break me down, the more that they would happen.
This 38-year-old Sydney woman was fired from her job when her boss tracked her keyboard activity when she was meant to be working from home and found she wasn't working much. Susie Chico had been working at one of the largest insurers in Australia for the last 18 years. But after months of her missing meetings, being late to tasks, and even the company copping a fine from the regulator because of a document she didn't file, her boss decided to start monitoring her keystroke activity from home. That is, the number of times she presses a key on her keyboard per hour. Without her knowledge, they tracked her activity from October to December. They found she didn't work her rostered hours for 44 days, started late on 47, finished early on 29, and worked 0 hours on 4 days. They presented this to her and ended up dismissing Susie a few months later. Except she took it to the Fair Work Commission saying it was an unfair dismissal. But after hearing all the evidence from the insurance company and not much from Susie proving that she was actually working, the Fair Work Commission decided it wasn't an unfair decision.
All jobs that run the infrastructure of modern day society are typically run by men, over 90%. So what I'm saying is that the top 10 paying jobs are dominated by men versus the top least paying jobs are dominated by women, because women don't have the same interests as men. Women get paid less because of choice, not because of their gender. Women could go into the same career fields that men do, they choose not to. And this is even more exacerbated by the fact that women dominate college, yet they still earn less. Women go into majors that pay less because of choice. They want to go into social sciences and not STEM. When you actually equate apples to apples, right? All working individuals with the same profession, same career, same education, same experience, etc. Women actually earn more than men.
Okay, well, why do men have maternity leave?
What? They have paternity leave.
Or whatever, paternity leave.
I am absolutely convinced that men don't actually want relationships.
As ladies get older, it's harder to find a man to get into a relationship with. There's a couple of reasons for this, but one of which is men gain experience. They have been in a relationship, have been scorned, screwed over, and then they decide, I want my own peace. The rest of the video proves this.
Like, men want their lives as is. They want to go about their day exactly as it is.
Their own peace.
Do whatever they would normally do.
God forbid they want to do the stuff that they would like to do with their own lives. Oh my God, what these men like!
and just want somebody there when it's convenient for them.
And that's the comment that makes me think you're bitter and single. It's not the fact that they want someone that's convenient for them, it's the fact that they want someone to add to their lives and not take away things that they enjoy, which is what they have been previously used to. Do we get it yet?
Or, you know, for the things they want to do.
And that is why men are staying single, so they can do whatever it is that they want to do without any bad judgment from anyone. The fact that it's a concern to you that they're doing this is a massive red flag. So men aren't going to look at you and go, yeah, she wants to take over my life. That's wifey material.
Convince me I'm wrong.
No convincing needed, because you're absolutely right. A fella in his 30s plus does not want a relationship in the same way like he did when he was in his 20s. Why? Because he's been in a relationship and he's learned. He likes his own life. He likes to be able to do what he wants. And if a woman wants to tie one of these guys down, she's got to go above and beyond to tie the guy down. It's not as easy anymore. You can't get pissed off with men being screwed over, getting smarter, wanting to take a bit more care of themselves, because you can't find a man as easy as you used to. Welcome to life.
If companies can pay women less, why don't they hire all women?
Well, that's a whole nother story.
Really?
I understand your argument, and I understand that you're angry.
I'm not angry.
I can hear it in your voice.
I'm not
Listen to
angry.
your voice.
I'm hearing my voice and I sound pretty calm.
You have now shifted the quality of your voice, and I thank you for that.
Okay.
And you've just given me a condescending look, and that's another reason why we need feminism. And now I'm done, and thank you so much.
I will say again, I'll go back, whatever the movement is, whatever the cause is, if you think it is bigger than due process, giving people an opportunity to be heard and making sure that people, I know there are some people that say, well, you know what, if some people get destroyed, if their lives get destroyed, that's a small
I know
prize.
men who say they won't hire women now, so that's great.
That's stupid. Yeah.
Well, what would you do? If someone could just say, Sam touched me inappropriately.
You need to have an atmosphere that's open to women coming forward.
So, Sam, what happens 20 years from now? What happens 20 years from now, Sam? Where somebody says, I worked with Sam Stein at the Huffington Post, and we were having drinks one night, and he put his hand on my leg. What happens in this environment? 20 years from now, you're fired.
Well, I'll say I work at the Daily Beast.
I know, but back when, back when you first started at the Huffington Post, that's the environment we're in now.
I want to go back to my original point, which is I don't think there is, I agree that there is a really difficult problem here of due process, and it needs to be, whoever is accused, it needs to at least have their point heard and the ability to face their accusers, which is due process, the essential element of due process. I worry, and I just want to make sure, like, that you allow an environment where the actual victims here are still able to come forward and say, you know what, this happened. Yeah. And this is difficult. I mean, with the problem with Al, in the end, was that he had a series of incidents where he was grabbing people's butts. That doesn't say he shouldn't get due process.
Is there a picture of that?
He admitted that it likely happened. So I just want to be clear. The problem that Al faced was Al's own making. Yeah. Now, the secondary problem was what happens when those things come out into the fore. In that case, Al did deserve to have, I don't know why I keep calling him Al, Senator Franken did deserve to have due process. But let's not act like the system screwed him. He screwed himself. That's all I'm saying.
Mika, the changes...
By the way, we're at 6:30.
We had a couple of weeks ago, we had this conversation. We had members of Congress on and said, why not go through the ethics process with Al Franken? And the answer was the process is flawed and it favors members of Congress. And that very well may be true, but it's the process you've got. Yeah. So you don't throw out due process
I think
altogether.
the process
Make
itself
the process
is what we need to be talking about before we talk about the men, because the process needs to be it's going to be complicated. But I think women feel that they are maligned and mistreated through the process, and therefore they're afraid to step forward. So we need to look at the process. But right now, any woman can say anything, and a man's career is ruined. Now, a lot of women can say things that are true, and their career should be ruined.
By the way,
but the problem is
by the way, hold on.
that any woman can say anything, and that's it. It's over. Is that how we're running businesses now?
There is a reporter whose name I will not mention, a very good reporter who was called in, was not told what he was accused of by an anonymous person, and he was immediately dismissed. So not only do you not get to face your accuser, in this case, you don't even get to know what the charges are against you. So when you hire a lawyer, you can't defend yourself. And again, if this is where this movement takes us, this is very dangerous, and not just dangerous for men. This is dangerous for everybody.
This is why the solution is in a more transparent workplace, in open-door policies, in ways that prevent these types of things from ever happening. It's why we have to look at how we do business. We have to make hard changes, and we have to, pull back a little bit. Some of the ideas I've had in the past have seemed a little bit like Elizabethan times or something, but you know what? We have to prevent the possibility. Instead of having some HR office that you run to after and you're cowering in there, you don't want to show your face, and you think no one will believe you. That's a problem. I totally understand what women face here. I just also I'm stricken. I'm chilled by some of the cases I'm seeing now of people being run out of their jobs, bankrupted, and absolutely no due process.
So a paper came out recently that looked at the impact of the Me Too movement on academia, and it actually shows that post-Me Too, women's productivity fell largely due to fewer collaborations with male researchers. The paper shows that this drop is most pronounced at universities where the perceived risk of sexual harassment accusations is highest. So the actual findings comparing research before and after the movement are right here, and as you can see, after the Me Too movement, collaborations with male researchers inside the same institution fell to close to zero. The author points out that men feel like if they accidentally say the wrong thing, they could be canceled or fired. She also notes that institutions that have clear policies on sexual harassment help reduce this perceived risk. And this isn't just in academia. The paper also cites a 2018 study which showed that 60% of male managers are uncomfortable participating in common activities with women due to the same concerns. And a curious finding of the study was that men make up for the loss in this collaboration by just collaborating more with other men, whereas women don't make up for it at all. The author concludes her findings by saying that Me Too was important for raising awareness, but it's also increasingly important for institutions to have really clear sexual harassment guidelines.
One of my coworkers came at me today because apparently she just couldn't take it anymore. She was like, "Brandon, I have to say something. I noticed you don't use any African American women in your videos. What are you trying to pull? Like, we all know that there are black single moms out there." I said, "Yes, there are plenty of black single moms out there, Vanessa. But front camera, crying, adding music, and you posting it? I don't think so."
And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal, link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.